Okay, a little video about piano plates, removing piano plates, some musings on piano plates, some pet peeves, like if you can see this cap, which was removed last time with a pair of ice grips. That's one of my pet peeves. But some do's and don'ts also, and the major don't is don't break one of these. If you break one of these, I don't know if you can get another one or not, but just don't do it. And here is the way that I was taught to take out plates and the way to think about them. And it's to start with the bolts right around here. Start loosening up these bolts, which I've already taken all the bolts and screws out, but start here. Take these towards the tail, and sometimes you'll notice that the plate rises up. In fact, the last piano I did like this plate came up almost half an inch. It just rose. You could see it coming up. And by taking these screws out first, that allows us to come up and you to see what's going on there. Now, addressing why that happens, that's a little harder. One of the things that would be very simple, if this was misdone and this was being held up in the air a half inch, that would account for that. But that wasn't the case in that plate. And in this plate didn't come up at all. You can check that by going like this. It didn't come up at all. So if anything, the only thing that's wrong is this is being pushed down, that's not a good thing either. That's just as bad as being raised up. But since we're going to take this out and unscrew it up, I mean, even if it was bent down there, the only thing you can do is now pull this thing up, which is what I'm going to do. But anyway, back to plate bending. The other reason I think that plates may get bent up on the tail is sometimes you'll see the pin block has been thinned in the treble here, either for string height reasons or bearing reasons. I don't know. It doesn't even matter why. But if you look at this as a flat surface, and this has been lowered, and it sort of hits this curve and then rises up in the back, that's another possibility. The other possibility is the plate was cast with a warp in it, or it was mismanufactured and it had a slight warp in it, and they said it's within tolerances, let's just bend it down. Because the last one that I did, like I said, it came up a half an inch. I was able to thicken the pin block here, so I raised this up, and it didn't affect the string height, and it didn't affect this, but it really didn't ameliorate that issue. It was still bent up in the back by like a quarter of an inch, so I made it a little bit better. Okay, so like I said, everything now is free on this plate. The other thing you want to check is if somebody had bent the plate on these, which when I took these off, it's up a little bit off there, which is fine. But now on to the pet peeve part of this, and the vice grips, which are unnecessary. You can make yourself a tool like this, or I've wrapped leather around here and grabbed that with vice grips after it's wrapped in leather. That's acceptable. Now it'd be nice if you could just grab this and have this come off, but it's not going to. It didn't want to. It's tighter than that. So what I'm going to do is grab this thing here, and I'm going to raise this whole thing up. Hopefully it's not so tight in here that it doesn't want to come up.
What are you talking to?
I want to be a YouTube star. You ruined my YouTube video.
You didn't have the red light going on.
All right. Well, piano movers.
That's us.